What's up guys, it's Haley, and for today's video I am giving you guys a first ever story time. I'm really stressed out right now because I just spent an hour setting up my camera and my lights and everything, and my camera keeps stopping every time I try to record. It will record like 30 seconds and then it stops. So I'm recording on my phone, which is cracked and really shitty, so we're just deal with it. I'm gonna be telling you guys the story of the time I was basically catfished by my best friend. Last time, I recorded this before, but I kept forgetting the fake names I was giving people, so I'm gonna write it down this time so I don't forget. So let's just get into the story. When I was in 8th grade, I was at one of the Friday night football games, and I ran into one of my friends, who's no longer my friend, but that doesn't matter. I ran into her and she introduced me to her friend, who we will call Sydney. Me and Sydney started hanging out, and like we got each other's numbers, we were Snapchatting, we were talking, like we became friends. We had a lot in common, like we liked to do the same things, we had friends in common, so it just kind of worked out. Further down the road, me and Sydney became pretty close, and it got to the point where we were basically best friends. And when you become best friends with somebody, that's when you trust them with things and you can tell them anything, like you feel safe with telling them things, like you know what I mean. Sydney decided to tell me something that she didn't tell other people. She kept it to herself. It was one of the scariest things that had ever happened to her in her life, and she trusted me enough to tell me. So what she told me was that when she was 13 years old, she was living with her mom in a different city and her two sisters, who we will call Claire and Sam. So her two sisters, Claire and Sam, were living with her dad in another city. One night, Sydney was walking home from a Halloween party, and this man came up to her, pulled her into an alleyway, and he raped her. I guess around this time she didn't have a phone. She was 13. When she was telling me this, she was a junior in high school, so when this would have happened to her, she would have been in like 6th, 7th grade. So this was a few years before. She ended up going home crying, like terrified, and she was too scared to tell anybody what happened. And then a few months later, she finally told one of her friends, and her friend got her a pregnancy test. She took the pregnancy test and it came out positive. Sydney's freaking out. She's like, this is positive. This man that just raped me got me pregnant. Like, and she was terrified to tell her mom. Like, how do you tell your mother that you're 13 and you're pregnant? And how, which I understand, like a lot of people, that could be something really scary to tell your parent or your guardian, but in this situation, I was telling her, I was like, why didn't you just tell her right away? Like, that's something that, like, if that was to happen to me, I would be on the phone with the cops right there and then when the situation went down. She eventually told her mom, and they reported it to the police, and she wasn't exactly sure, like, what happened with that whole thing. Her mom wanted her to kind of stay out of it, which I totally understand. And 9 months later, Sydney had a baby girl named Olivia. So Sydney wasn't allowed to keep Olivia because she was only in like 6th or 7th grade. Like, she can't raise a baby on her own like that. So her mom made her put it up for adoption, but they wanted the baby to like stay in the family. So her aunt adopted Olivia, and her aunt had to move to Washington State, which is all the way across the country from where we live, due to her husband's work. Sydney said goodbye to Olivia, and they went to go live in Washington while we're over here in Ohio. I was like, well, do your sisters know? Like, do your sisters know that they have a niece? And she's like, no, my sisters don't know. I haven't told them. Like, I'm gonna tell them when I'm ready to tell them and when I think they're ready to tell them. She did not have a strong relationship with her sisters at the time. They argued a lot. I didn't really get involved in it. I didn't want to get involved in their family business, which that makes sense, but yeah. So I kind of stopped asking questions. I was there to support her. My mom knew the story. When Sydney had told me what happened, I told my mom, and my mom was there to support her. Like, if you ever need to talk, or if you ever need to like just get away from anything, because like, did you know how hard that would be to just have your child taken away from you like that? And she would sleep over at my house, I'd sleep over her house, We would watch movies. Like, we just did stuff that best friends would do. Like, we literally did everything. Like, we hung out all the time. I told her things about me that a lot of people don't know. Like, I trusted her with stuff that I could tell her because she had trusted me with something that was so big. I felt that I could trust her. Sydney had pictures of Olivia on her phone. She had pictures of Olivia on her like bedside table in a little frame. She had pictures of Olivia on her wall, and she had a pack and play at the end of her bed, and she had like little not cupboards, little like shelves full of baby clothes. She had a bag of diapers in her closet. Like, you could tell that she had a kid, like, because she didn't, right when she had the baby, she had Olivia for a little bit in her life, but when she was like a few months old, that's when her aunt took her. So she did have Olivia for a little bit in her life. She showed me a video of her stomach moving when she was pregnant on her computer, stuff like that. A couple months had went by, and I hadn't really heard from Sydney until she texted me, and she's like, hey, Olivia was in a car accident with my aunt. They were on their way to the airport. They were gonna fly down to surprise me. I'm not sure what's going on, but Olivia's in the hospital. And I was like, okay. So like, Olivia was 3 years old at this time, so I mean, obviously if you're in a car accident, they're gonna take the little kid in just to check, just to make sure everything's okay. And I was like, okay, keep me updated, like if anything happens, I'm here for you. And a few days later, Sydney found out that they found a tumor in Olivia's brain. I don't remember what it was called, but it was this type of tumor where she sent me the name of it, and I googled it, and there's like a 1% chance of survival, and you only, like, it was really sad. Sydney was extremely upset. She would show me pictures of when Olivia was in the hospital, and she would show me pictures of like just everything that was going on. She would keep me updated. She was like, yeah, my aunt texted me today and told me what's been going on. Her predicted amount of time to live was 1 month. Her tumor had already grown, and I was like, well, you need to fly out there and see her. Like, I will help you. I will, like, I could only imagine what you're going through. Like, it's terrible. It's heartbreaking. So she started a GoFundMe page for Olivia to raise money to be able to afford a plane ticket to fly down. And the reason that like her mom couldn't help her out with affording a plane ticket is because her mom was in the process of getting married, so they were like affording stuff for the wedding, the dress, all of that kind of stuff. And then her dad and her sisters didn't know, so they couldn't really do anything about it. And she started the GoFundMe, and we started a support Twitter page, pray for Olivia. Me and Sydney would like post pictures of Olivia and post updates, and just we had an entire hashtag going around, and everybody was just giving us their love and support. And we were sharing the GoFundMe page so that we could raise money. My mom had donated some money, and 2 of my mom's friends had donated some money. But I think it was a few weeks later, it wasn't even a month, Olivia had passed away in her sleep. Sydney was just heartbroken. She was upset. She was crying. I was crying. Like, this is my best friend's kid. I've never met her, but she meant something to me because she was my best friend's kid, you know? Sydney came over the next day. We went to the botanical garden. I wanted to take her somewhere as a distraction from like thinking about Olivia, which, I mean, it distracted her a little bit, but as we were walking through there's a lot of little kids, and she was kind of like, oh, Olivia would have loved it here. We brought her here when she was little, like when she was only a few months old. We brought her here, and we were walking through, and we sat right there, and we took this picture, and like she was just kind of like bringing back memories. She wasn't getting too upset about it. She, like, you could tell she was upset, but it was kind of good bringing back memories like that. After all that, Sydney went home, and I went home, and I was FaceTiming her, and I was like, hey, so I think you should tell your sisters that they had a niece. And she was like, I don't know, like, I've been thinking about it lately. And I was like, look, I'm here to help you. Like, if you want me to talk to them, or if you want me to be here with you while you tell them, I'm here to just help you and support you. And she was like, okay, thank you. Okay, I want this to kind of just be between me and my sisters, so I'm gonna mute you on FaceTime and have them come in my room. And I was like, okay, I totally understand. Like, you do that and just let me know how everything goes. So she had both of her sisters, Sam and Claire, come in her room, and she told them that she was raped when she was 13, and that she has a daughter named Olivia. Well, she had a daughter named Olivia who recently passed away. She told them the whole story, and then a couple minutes later she unpauses FaceTime and she's like, okay, I told them. I was like, and how did it go? And she's like, they kind of seemed angry and kind of like left my room kind of mad that I didn't tell them and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I get it. So I had finished my FaceTime call with her and I was like, all right, bye, like, you know, good night. And then a couple minutes later I get a FaceTime call from Claire, her sister, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe they just want to talk about it or something. So I answer the phone and it was Claire and Sam. They shared a room, and they were like, Haley, we need to talk to you right now. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, is this about Olivia? And Claire's like, Haley, Sydney's been lying to you this entire time. And I was like, no, she hasn't. Like, you guys, you just don't understand. Like, she kept this a secret from you guys because she didn't think you guys were ready to hear it. She didn't think you guys were going to, like, since you guys don't have the best relationship, stuff like that. And they were like, Haley, look at me. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, Sydney's been lying to you this entire time. And I was like, no, you guys. Like, I kept denying it. I kept saying no, like, because literally you could have asked Sydney anything about Olivia. You could have asked her how much she weighed when she was born. You could ask her what color her eyes, her hair, what her favorite outfit was, favorite color, favorite animal. You could ask her anything about Olivia and she would know the answer, like, at the top of her head, just like that. Which, that's pretty much how mothers know their own child. And once again, Sydney had a pack and play at the end of her bed. She had baby clothes. She had diapers. She had pictures of her child on her phone, on her computer, in her room, hanging on the wall and on her bedside table. Like, this was her kid. And Claire and Sam are like, Haley, she's done this to people before. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, she's a toxic person. She's lying to you. She does this to people. That's why we don't get along with her. That's why we're always arguing, is because she's always stealing and lying from us. And I'm like, I kind of just stepped back from the situation and I was like, okay, I need to confront her. Like, she needs to come clean about it. So I finished talking to them. I hung up and I started texting Sydney. I have all the screenshots still on my computer because I have everything saved just to document. And basically the conversation was, I was like, look, your sisters told me that you've been lying to me this entire time. You need to come clean with me right now. You need to tell me the truth. Is this entire thing a lie? And she was like, okay, the truth is that that's not my kid. That was my cousin, and I love her so much, and I want a kid. I wanted to just, like, she was just coming up with excuses, and she told me it was her cousin. So I sent pictures of the little girl to Claire and Sam, and I was like, hey, is this your cousin? And they were like, no, we've never seen that little girl. Like, little girl. They're like, no, we haven't seen that little girl ever. Like, they've never seen this child that is all over Sydney's phone. And she's literally in her bedroom, like, on the walls, in picture frames. Like, I was like, okay, I know that's not your cousin for a fact. Like, whoever's, like, you're taking pictures of somebody else's child and saying it's yours. And she was like, I'm so sorry. Like, she kept apologizing and she just kept telling me how sorry she was, and I was done. I blocked her on everything, every social media. I blocked her phone number. I wanted her out of my life because she had lied to me, my mom, so many others for so long that she just seemed dangerous to be around, because if she was capable of holding a lie for that long, who knows what else she's capable of. I ended up telling my mom, and the police ended up getting involved because of the GoFundMe thing, because there was an entire fraud thing going on. I'm not exactly sure what happened with that, but I didn't hear from her all summer. We had a no contact rule whatsoever, and she knew that for a fact. So I didn't hear from her all summer. I thought the entire situation had blown over. Then school starts. So I was a freshman in high school and she was a senior in high school. The first time that she tried to contact me was through my school email, which I will read to you guys right now. So she said, "Haley, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need to repay you. No, I need to repay you. I just started a job and will soon have that money to repay you and your mom. I'm sorry for everything I've put you through. I know you're going through a hard time lately. I've heard it from multiple people." So she was asking other people about me because, like I said, we had friends in common. And I can't help to think of what I could do if we were still friends. I know what I did was wrong. I'm not expecting you to take me back right away, if you take me back at all. I just want you to know I am sorry and that I am here for you and if you want to talk. I will also be handwriting a letter to your mom apologizing. She never wrote a handwritten letter to my mother apologizing. Again, I am very sorry. I've grown up and learned from my mistakes, and I hope we can slowly regain our friendship. I hope things get better for you. I never responded, but I did save the message. And let me just repeat a part that she says. I am very sorry. I've grown up and learned from my mistakes. Okay. If this video gets too long, it may be a part 2 because there's so much more to this story. This is just the first part of it, okay? This girl is crazy. I ignored that and I was like, okay, whatever. Then, it was literally on my birthday. She wrote me a letter. Let me just read that to you. Dear Haley, I know we're not supposed to be talking, but I just wanted to wish you a happy 15th birthday. You are a very beautiful person, inside and out. You're always going to be inspirational, beautiful, and smart. I miss talking to you every day and telling you everything about what's going on in my life. I wish we could forget about the past and at least attempt to be friends again. I hope everything has been going well for you. I hope freshman year hasn't caused too much stress. Trust me, it'll be senior year before you know it. I've heard you've been having a hard time lately and I have too. I've really struggled without having someone to talk to who can really relate to me. Happy birthday again, Sydney. So she wrote that letter and gave it to somebody that we were both friends with, and my friend gave it to me and she was like, "Hey, this is from Sydney," and I was like, okay. So I debated about opening it. I sat there for a long time thinking about opening it, but I did, and I was like, okay, I know I'm not supposed to talk to her, but I need to write her back and tell her that this is not okay. So I wrote her back telling her that I do not want to be friends and that this is unacceptable, that she is talking to me, that she's trying to contact me, and I said that I do not forgive her. I said I may forgive her in the future, but for right now, I'm still hurting about what she did to my family and so many others, and yeah. Then she wrote me another letter responding to the letter that I had written her. Dear Haley, thank you for writing me back. I didn't think you would, and I cried while I read it. I can understand why we shouldn't be friends / talk again. I did something unforgettable. I know we weren't supposed to talk, but I really wanted to say happy birthday and wish you well. The fact that she remembered when my birthday was. Can I just say that? Like, the fact that she would specifically remember certain things, like details about things, like people's birthdays, like, or what day their birthday was on, like stuff like that. It was weird. I also wanted to tell you a few things that have happened recently since this will probably be my last letter to you. So now she's just updating me on her life like we're friends. We're not. 1. I got a job at Kohl's. I am so proud of myself for actually doing something in my life. 2. I got accepted into Tri-C for nursing, but will probably only go to take general courses and then go to BGSU to finish. 3. I got a boyfriend. He doesn't go here, unfortunately. He's the sweetest guy. 4. I'm moving. I'm still staying in the district, but I'm moving closer to the middle school, which is also closer to my house. That's pretty much what happened these past few months. I also started to go to counseling again, so I've been getting help. If I don't see you again, I wish you the best of luck in high school. Please talk to me if you ever need anything. I will always be here. Wish you well, Sydney. Oh, I should also probably mention this. In the letter that I had written to her telling her I didn't want to talk to her ever again, I said, if you want me to forgive you, the one thing that you can do is never do this again to anybody else. Well, after this letter, nothing happened for a while, like nothing, and then it became the end of freshman year. I was sitting in my biology class, just like doing biology like one does, and this kid walks in and hands this folded up piece of paper to my biology teacher, and it looked suspicious as fuck. Like my biology teacher looked at it like, this is not an office note, like, and the kid just kind of like walked out, and I had never seen that kid before. Like I didn't know who he was or what, but my teacher looked and he was like, Haley, and I was like, okay. So I looked at it and I was like, what the fuck? Like I was scared to open it. I was like, oh god. So I opened it, and guess what was in it? A picture of me and Sydney from the same day that I confronted her about lying to me. It was from the botanical gardens, and an entire letter about how she was asking me to do her hair and makeup for prom. She asked me to do her hair and makeup for prom. We are not friends. I started freaking out. I was like, okay, how does this girl know where my class is? Like, how did she find me? She would have had to go to the office and track me down to find where I was that specific time of the day in that period, because she didn't know my schedule. She doesn't have friends that like know my schedule because she's a senior. Like, seniors don't know my schedule. The only people that would know my schedule is people in my class, and she wasn't friends with anybody in my class. So I freaked out about that. I went to the office and told them everything. They took the letter. They probably still have it in files somewhere. They got an entire no contact rule for school, even though it was like a few days until she was to graduate and be gone. And so I was just, that just took so much stress off of me. I was like, okay, I just want to be done with all of this. Like I thought it was done before. Good. For me, that was the end of it for me. But then I found out she started doing more to other people and even worse. So if you want to hear that, there will be a part 2 on my channel. It will be linked below. It will probably be the next recommended video after this one. So go watch that one, and I will talk to you guys about what happened after that. Thank you for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. I'm just giving you guys these crazy stories in case anything like this is to happen to you, so you know what to do in these situations, or just pretty much because my life is crazy and the weirdest things happen to me, and it's pretty entertaining. Yeah, also I'd like to say I did disguise everybody's names just for personal privacy reasons, and yeah, so thanks for watching, and go check out the other one. Bye!